that is just an update to let you know how things have been with the ASU, just to keep up with the developments there. And we hope that in the coming days, one way or the other, the strike will be suspended or called off, or at least there should be an agreement between the union and the government.
And ASU is supposed to be looking at the offer by the federal government to see if it's going to accept it or not. Right. And like you said, it's a big hope that this doesn't happen again. It's becoming an annual festival sort of.
We hope to get past it. Now let's move to our next discussion proper now. Last week, the federal and state governments, during a one-day national security retreat, resolved to set up special courts for the prosecution of hate speech preachers, suspected kidnappers, and terrorists.
Well, the retreat, which was organized by the National Economic Council and chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who was at the time acting president, discussed concerns about the delay in the nation's criminal justice system.
Now, the NEC members urged prompt action in the arrest and prosecution of perpetrators of terrorist acts, kidnappings, and purveyors of hate speeches, which all require immediate action by law enforcement agencies.
Well, under this new arrangement, the judiciary and executive arms of the federal and state governments will work together to establish such courts. The federal government will also help states to develop a template on how such special courts would be established and managed. Well, we have a lawyer, Richard Nwankwo, in the studio to discuss this with us. Thank you for joining us and good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
So how do you feel about the decision of the federal and state governments to set up special courts for hate speeches and kidnappings?
Well, I think we are all aware of the fact that the challenges we are having today are not as a result of are not having adequate legal framework to deal with some of these issues. What is actually playing out is a accumulation of years of neglect and a system that is radically pressurized. I believe that the suggestion made by coming from the office of the vice president is purely cosmetic, maybe designed to give the impression that the present political leadership and under the dispensation that there is some measure of activity. But I think it is clear to every discerning mind that it is a very, very cosmetic adventure, and it will never go to any extent in eradicating some of these issues. We have on the ground enough laws that can accommodate some of these issues. And I am compelled to argue very, very strongly that these issues are symptomatic in nature, that they are trying to address symptoms and not the very causes. I think by that pronouncement, what the government is trying to say is that they are going to radically, maybe in quotes, deal with people who are suffering from malaria without having any composite arrangement to deal with the causes of these things. So I think it's a very weak response to a very serious problem, because you must have to take into consideration the historical perspectives of some of these things. What gives rise to these hate speeches? Don't we have enough laws to deal with them? Don't we have laws that cover issues that border on incitement? Don't we have laws that deal with defamation? Don't we have laws that deal with kidnapping? In fact, we have a surplusage of laws in these areas. What is actually playing out is the complete absence of political will. That is what is playing out. So when they say, we hear that they are going to set up special courts, to go and do what? What is so special about the courts? What is the challenge we are having with the existing judicial system?
Because of the delay in the criminal justice system. That is why they are setting this up, so that cases can be
you have to prioritize your problems. You have to prioritize your challenges. If you are setting up special courts to deal with kidnapping, that is well and good. But you have arrangements, you have a legal framework that deals with terrorism. And you have been arresting Boko Haram members. You have been paying some of them and asking them to go home. And you are at the same time, you're telling people that you want to move after those that are making hate speeches. Hate speeches and outright killing of individuals, which one do you think is more serious? So I believe that if you look at all that is going on, I think the government is just...
But hate speeches to have the potential of causing serious problem. Recall what happened in Rwanda. It started like that. So
Yes,
it's like
but
attacking the problem from the root before it gets out of hand.
What gave rise to these speeches? So these are the fundamental issues. There is a lot of... When I'm talking about discontentment within the system, it has never been like this in the history of Nigeria. The level of discontentment, disenchantment, and despondency is high. And I believe that the appropriate thing to have done would have been to radically focus. There must be a forensic approach to some of these issues. And you see, what we have perfected here is copying political dispensations. We copy. When we copy political arrangements we have that exist in some other jurisdictions, we bring them here. We gradually cannibalize them and make nonsense of them. You don't talk about political constitutional democracy without the culture. The culture of political democracy, constitutional democracy, is even more important than the political machinery itself. There must be a culture. And it is in that culture that you have embedded issues like finesse, the spirit of compromise, the absence of the spirit of Pharaoh. Because if you look at the president's speech address, if you look at the challenges we are having, were they prioritized? The president has been away for over 100 days. You came back and you made a tasked 3-minute speech addressing what issues that we address.
6-minute speech at that.
Okay. You now talked about IPOB. You now talked about Boko Haram, and we have been told that the government is currently negotiating with Boko Haram people for the release of the Chibok girls. You are telling the Nigerian public that you are going to launch a massive campaign against Boko Haram. But in the interim, you people, the government is discussing with them. So what impression are they giving?
So in the past anyway.
Yeah, what impression is the government trying to paint?
All right.
So the fact must be made clear that political leadership is an art. And until we get it right, things will continue to go the way they are going now. And it is not, you don't decree patriotism. You don't bring in patriotism by fiat. It's an evolutionary process. If you read the book of Profiles encouraged by John F. Kennedy, one of the 5 senators, if you go to the United States Congress, you see their status. One of the 5 senators whose statute is still there in the Congress, got there because during the process of impeachment of a certain president, he was to do the casting vote, the last vote that would determine whether the president will go or not. He came and voted against his party. And he gave very radical reasons why he did that. That the president has been doing well. That these are the things, when you are elected into an office, you must live beyond ethnic, political, distractions. But we have a government that is operating within the confines of an ethnic platform. So what we have today...
That's what you think?
No, if you want, I will give you, because of time, I would have given you more reasons. If you look at the political appointment, people talk about all these things. If you look at the political appointment, there is absolutely no reason why anybody will believe that the government of today is a federal government. There's nothing federal about this government. This government is purely a sectional government. And the activities, whatever they have been doing, is beclouded with that concept.
Well, there are members of different...
when it comes to the principles of the federal character, when it comes to the issue of constitutional appointments of ministers, all states are represented.
And let me come...
specification.
That is what I am saying, that a selective adherence to the constitutional provisions is the worst form of corruption. When you look at the entire constitutional platform, you now become very choosy in picking up some critical issues that you want.
But it was so in the last administration
let me come on. There is a Security Council. The entire Southeast is not represented in that Security Council. Look at the appointments that have been made subsequent to the appointment of ministers. So the point that I'm making is that it is only in this dispensation that people are coming out to say that the president is appointing the people he knows too well. I hope that will happen because the president will not be in office forever. I hope when this president dispensation is over and the new government comes in, I'll still want to see people like the Minister for Information to come and react to that comment if the new president decides to adopt the political structure
again,
that we have today.
It was so in the last administration as well.
So.
Some were favored over others.
It wasn't so.
There has always been discontent.
Yes.
People from a particular region too were angry with the last administration because nobody was appointed from that region. We know this. So.
You see, it is not true. But most importantly, we are talking about constitutional democracy. And for you to make very positive impact in the political process, the first thing that you must have at your disposal is the political will. The political will is a very, very great weapon that is at the disposal of this present political leadership. And we expect them to use this political power to make some definite and positive developments across the board, not a one-sided development.
But this is what, back to the main discussion now, and that's this setting up of special courts.
All right. I'm afraid we have to go in for the news now, but certainly time will certainly permit us to discuss this next time because there are so many issues on the ground. We need to touch on this. Thank you very much. Richard Mako, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.